Hi, everybody. Hope you're keeping well. We are back here again this week, and hello Z, good to see you. Please let me know if you can hear me. We'll appreciate if the sound is good. I'll be happy to hear. I hope you're all keeping well. Thank you, Khutato. Thank you. Hi. Good to see you all. Great, thank you. Great, thank you. So we are back. We make promises that we keep. So on the basis of that, we are going to keep our we've kept our promise. And Nox is going to be joining me. So I'm just inviting her. So let's see.
Hello.
Hey, Nox.
Hi, Pamir. How are you doing?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm super. Thanks for having me this evening.
Great, thank you.
So,
As things work, I'm load shedding again.
Oh no. Okay, so I did.
No. Generator
my
is on. We should be fine.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I did put my load shedding light on just in case, because you never know.
Yeah.
So there's better lighting as compared to the last time. Let's see how it goes.
It was fun though, but
No,
I always take things in my stride. I'm like, yeah, whatever, let's go on.
No, it was absolute fun. It was just, it was funny though, because as the sun was going down, you were getting darker and darker
I
on
was
the
getting
screen.
dark. I know. Today I made sure that my light is on.
Yeah.
Because last time it would have meant I should have walked out, got in the light. It was just too much.
It was a
Yeah,
lot.
logistics too.
Awesome.
How have you been?
Again, I'm fine. I'm looking forward to a little bit of a break with the Easter holidays coming through. I can feel the 90 days exhaustion is really setting in. Yeah. And it's really important for us to pause, recharge, and get back to it again. So my kids already are saying, we're home, we're on holiday, why are you not on holiday? So there's already that pressure, but I look forward to a break. I'm feeling a bit tired.
No, I get that. So I've had a week and a half. I
Nice.
had I had the fun of actually going to take out my wisdom tooth.
Oof. Ouch.
Another story for another
Ouch.
day. And I'm glad I was naive enough not to think it was going to be hectic. And just when the dentist said you must do it, I just went with it.
Oh no.
Up until the Monday when it was out. And I was like, what the hell did you just do? So I'm sitting here with stitches in my mouth. Last week, half my face was swollen. And I've been pain managing, but we're okay. We'll show up and do what we need to do.
Look, we are here. That's what's important. We are here. I wish you didn't tell me, because now every time you speak, I'm like, ouch. This must be so uncomfortable.
No, it's not bad. I can still feel it, but it's not as bad. I'm just managing pain. Yeah. And the one thing I kept doing is just praying that it doesn't get infected. That was the biggest prayer that I had. And we should be fine. So now I'm like 8 days, then
awesome.
we'll survive this. Yeah, great. So Nox, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate that you just kind of were cool with doing this with me again.
It's all good.
And yeah, and I really appreciate that. But I think let's take a step back. Like I met you through on social media, and you're friends with a cousin of mine, but I've never met you in real life.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about you, to be honest. So it's just one of those things. But anyway, we love social media because we meet amazing people and we kind of click and we do what we need to do. So tell us briefly, I think, about you, your career, what you've done, and why did I even choose you to talk to us about personal branding?
Oh, Pume. I recognize so many people who've joined us because I also shared it on my stories, shared it on Bloom Inside Out. So just want to welcome part of my community on social media that came through for change conversations. I really do love having conversations that have like positive change and positive impact in people's lives. But just to go back to who I am, my name is obviously Nokuthula, but well known as Nox. It's shorter and easier to spell. Let me start here. I'm a daughter of the Most High God, who was born in the Luthuli family. I mention it because also my handle has Maluthuli because I almost don't want to let go of the Luthuli brand. Married to an amazing gentleman, friend, partner, Magwaza. And so now I go as Nox Magwaza. And I have two amazing Oompa Loompas. They still remain my Oompa Loompas, even though one is almost 2 decades old, 20. And my son, that's my daughter, and my son is 11 years old. And yeah, so I'm still, I still consider myself a mompreneur, you know, as not as hectic as when you have young babies, but I am actively parenting. And one of the things I had to rush and do was leave the office, make sure I get dinner because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to prepare dinner for everyone. Love running. That's one of the things you will constantly see on my stories. It's not easy post-COVID, but I still do it. It's just my most preferred way of exercising, but it's got a lot of benefits for me. Happy hormones and just staying fit and managing the levels of exhaustion or stress, and it gives me time for myself. It's like a gift to myself every day. Because in my work and in my family, I am constantly serving others in you know, consistently. And so for me to show up better as a business founder, as a business leader, as a coach, as a mother, as a wife, I have to take care of myself first. So running is like what really defines my morning or evening. Some days I'm not able to fit it in the morning. Love running, love traveling, and I have also made that almost like a statement in my life pursuit. And even in every beginning of the year, I want to travel the world and do what I love and get paid for it, and often not pay for my travel because I'm serving my clients in different parts of the world, or South Africa, and I get to, you know, enjoy myself, live my purpose, and make money while making impact. So I founded and I'm running a marketing agency for the past 20 years. And I then founded a coaching business that is predominantly women facing, purely because I am so in love and passionate about women, advancing women, developing women, and it's my I've made it my life purpose to wherever I am to pour into women, to equip women, to share what I've learned with women, and that's to close that gap. We always look at it expanding consistently towards gender equity. And so Bloom Inside Out is the coaching platform that I run. It's here on Instagram as well. where I offer the multiple services. Some are corporate services that I'm contracted in to coach on behalf of like enterprise development, kind of small business coaching. And I run Bloom Inside Out and Bloom Marketing. So Bloom Marketing is the oldest of the businesses, traditional marketing, and Bloom Infinite is a digital part of the business. And I think that sums up a bit of what keeps me, going and keeps me blooming. And if I've missed anything, we'll catch it, I guess, as we continue our conversation. In essence, that's who I am. And you probably invited me because you've seen me talk a lot about build your personal brand for growth. Because I truly have found that of all the marketing strategies, that's one that we can borrow from traditional classical marketing into our lives, especially as women, so that we can show up more confidently, own who we are and own the spaces that we are impacting, and with that consistency and authenticity. That's probably why you invited me, because I'm very much passionate about personal branding.
No, you are. And that's definitely the reason why I invited you, because I've seen you talking a lot around it. And just thank you for agreeing and just going with the flow. And I really appreciate that. So, but tell us briefly, why did you choose marketing as a career? Because I dabbled in marketing. Not that I dabbled, a huge part of my change in careers was in marketing. And just tell us briefly, why marketing for you? Why not anything else?
Yeah, that's very interesting, because actually we're going to talk a little bit about that, because often we choose careers, and sometimes careers choose us based on who authentically we are, so a greater part of personal branding, what we're talking about now, is it rests on understanding and defining who you are, how you want to be seen, and what kind of impact or value you want to add in the spaces that you want to impact. So I'm a BSc microbiology biochemist, biochemistry graduate, before I even got into marketing. And how I ended up there with life sciences was because I just grew up in a space where you were inspired by doctors and nurses and teachers. Those were the kind of qualifications and careers that had that were a physical representation of success in our communities. And when you're good at maths and you're good in biology, then all the teachers and everyone is like giving you the medical line. So medicine was in the dream, was in the desire, but not because probably I was passionate about, health and wellness and, healing people and coming up with solutions in medicine. It was purely academic. It was purely because I was more a science and a maths and biology well-inclined student. Then I went the long route, I guess, by going to life sciences, because I didn't get admitted into med school or medunsa. The advice that I got was start with the microbiology and biochemistry, and you get credited in your second year, or you get into a year of med school with a degree in life sciences. And obviously carried on. My gosh, it was hectic. I didn't love dissecting frogs. I even gave up zoology for that, because I was like, I don't understand why I have to kill frogs and cut them open. To cut the long story short, in the third year of that BSc in microbiology and biochemistry, when I've already gotten rid of zoology, I then came across this big Unilever. I'm just mentioning it so we can move past it. Interviews on campus, they were looking for talent of graduate trainees that they needed to bring into the corporate company. And I interviewed well. And when I interviewed well, it was purely because I loved speaking, I loved talking. It was, sell yourself. Before I wrote my final exam for the BSc, I already had a job offer at Unilever. Naturally, that job offer was going to be in the quality control, in the chemical part of the business, where I can use the, biochemistry. So I became obviously a quality assurance assistant, and with the understanding that in 2 years I will be a manager, because it's a trainee management role. In the first year, towards the first year, I was like, I already calculated all of this. I don't like being in a laboratory alone with the microorganisms. I'm happy with people in the factory, engineers, and coming up with solutions. So very innovative and want to be creatively, I guess, challenged. I then made this quick, quite a bold move of asking the laboratory manager, like, exactly how long have you been a manager? And if I'm supposed to be promoted next year, when are you moving from this role? Because there's a supervisor who's also been here for 10 years and you've been a manager for 15 years. So it doesn't add up, that the mathematics. He said to me, I'm going to make a call to head office and let them know that you need to move, because one, you want to be in where you can speak to people, connect with people. This is not personality, aligned.
Yeah.
And so quickly fast forward, he's like, before you kill me, before you say I must, go and leave indefinitely or whatever, let's just go to sales. And then so I went to sales. And sales is a stepping stone to marketing in a way, because I mean, marketing is all about convincing and selling the benefits of whichever the product or service that you have, so that you can exchange. And I thrived in sales. I know exactly how to pitch and sell and engage people, make relationships. I became a regional sales manager. Fast forward, I then became, when Lipton Iced Tea was launched, I also then asked for the role to be a brand manager at Lipton Iced Tea, and they were like, no, we'll give you a trade marketing role while you get trained in classical marketing. And then fast forward, training in all, Lipton Iced Tea was the first brand I worked on, and then it moved on to Knorr, to Raja when we merged with Robertson's. And so marketing just became this natural, like I had a natural, I was just a natural. And so that took about a minute, or if not 4 minutes, of explaining how I ended up in marketing. I never looked back. I never looked back in terms of, microbiology, med school. It was never going to be my thing. And that speaks to what we're going to talk about today, because if we do take time to guide and to coach and to help young people understand their personalities, their natural giftings and their qualities, we will actually map and maybe narrow down the areas of excellence purely from their natural gifting before they even get experience and become experts in those areas. So it starts right there. Personal branding, it starts right there, knowing who you are, knowing your natural giftings, knowing what you're good at. And then that mix of your personality, your giftings, your experience, because I mean, eventually your experience in what you're qualified in or what you're good at in the corporate space or in society and community, that is a holistic, unique mix of who you are. And when you take that they call it a magic area of excellence, that X factor and that mix, and you then brand yourself around that, and then you're known for this, that you're brilliant at unpacking complicated situations, you are brilliant at packaging someone or product or a company, and position it well in the market so that it can be well received by those it is existing to serve. Then you then market yourself around that, and that's what you constantly and authentically and consistently communicate, that then this is my brand, this is what I'm about. And then people off, like how you said, you picked me because you've seen that I'm consistently and authentically passionate about personal branding and building personal, or call it human assets, to brands that can thrive and excel in career, in business, or their communities. So long-winded, and in a way we've started defining, I guess, what personal branding is.
Exactly. It's amazing. Sometimes you meet people, you don't know their story, but there's so much that I can relate to. I'm also an ex-Unilever. I started off at Unilever. In fact, I was a Unilever scholarship holder, and you didn't know that.
Yeah. It also speaks to the impact of this corporate and many other corporates, I guess, in South Africa, these international corporates that have really set up a lot of us in successful careers because the foundation was there. and it's one I'm truly grateful for, and has formed a foundation for quite a lot of services that I offer, because I grew and developed into who I am right there in the excellence of that business.
Exactly. Yeah, so I can relate to a number of things. Wanted to be a doctor, it did not work. The Unilever story, I can relate. The motherpreneur and all these other things. So yeah, we've got a lot. So yeah, one day we must do lunch and really catch up and align some of these things. Yeah.
Happy to.
Anyway, let's get into this. Thanks everybody for joining us, and please make sure that you ask questions. Nox is here to really engage with us. So Nox, you've already started explaining what personal branding is, and basically I think there's an element of why is it important, mainly in the workplace. Is it really something that we need to be thinking about? Is it just a trend? Is it like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Why should we care?
So it's just a great question that you're asking it, and you would say, is it a trend? Because now everyone thinks personal branding is, packaging and branding yourself to be an influencer, because that's the most engaged marketing platform currently with the digital revolution. But to go back to defining what personal branding is, just shortly, because then it leads to why do you have to, and the starting point is this. Branding is about creating a compelling narrative that can resonate with the people or with the customers, target audience that you want to serve or you exist for. And equally so, as when you look at personal branding, it's then looking at working to understand your purpose in life. And I always advocate for and recommend that a personal brand is better built around your purpose and who you authentically are. Now, a lot of us will probably take by the third decade of our existence, we are in our 30s, do we somehow come into grasp with our purpose and what our mandate, individual mandate, is in this world. And that's obviously because we never understand that doing the personal work and the inner work and getting to know who you are is the starting point of anything worth building, or of our success, actually, and our greatness and our prosperity. You will begin to see the definition of your success, or see the success in your life, when you really have come to grasp who you are and who you authentically are. And that's like defining your space in this world, and be clear why you exist and for who you exist for. So personal branding is about that, like creating and crafting. It's a journey, obviously, an authentic story and a narrative around who you are, what you stand for, who are you here to serve, and what kind of impact you want to have. And that impact is exactly what people will know you for, or where you want to showcase your excellence and your gifting and your qualities in this world for the betterment and maybe for the greater good of humanity. And so I always start personal branding conversation from, who are you? And if you haven't got a clear definition of who you are, it will be very difficult for you to have a consistent brand, because you can't change who you are. You are who you are. And when you know who you are, you know your qualities and your giftings, then you can build around that, because that forms part of that unique X factor, that thing that only you know how to bring it into this world, because no one can do it the way that you do. Already that is your differentiator and what sets you apart in this world. And so added to who you are and your definition of your persona or your personality or identity, let's actually better identity, with a clear identity of who you are and a clear grasp of your purpose, you can then begin to shape and articulate to anyone that you connect with, to potential employer, to a customer who you are coaching, to friends that you're building, they know who you are, what you stand for, what you're about, and what you're great at. They even know your not so great areas, and it's about you consciously showing up as your best self, or showing up in your strengths as opposed to showing up in your weaknesses. So personal branding is not, it's not a hype just because we see influencers. It is honestly what I find the best way to show up. Because we don't want to build and have friendships with people who keep changing on us, people who today you like, hey, it's winter here today, it's storm, in the office they're like, yo, we don't even know how to approach her. One day she's smiling, she's happy, and she's warm. The next day she's the coldest, and they even call you an ice queen in the office, because even yourself, you keep changing based on environments instead of knowing your authentic self and really showing up in that consistent way in everything that you do. And so in responding to you quickly, it's not a fad, it's not a phase, it's not a hype or a trend. I think it's one incredible success essential, a key to unlock your personal greatness, and a key to unlock your personal excellence, and what you came into this world to deliver for making this world a better place, for making a particular company a better company, for making a group of people who are reporting to you better, and maybe even develop them to be their best self. And when you can understand what your role is in this world and occupy that space, and really own that space, that's when you begin to unlock your success and your greatness in this world. So
So what happens, Nox? The conversation around purpose can be very tricky, right? As you say, that sometimes you might discover it in your 30s. But if you haven't gotten into that point of really saying, I'm clear, this is my purpose, what can you do in the meantime to kind of build it up? Because there's a part of me that says you don't want to be held back by the fact that I have not figured out my purpose, right?
Great question, Bume. And maybe the quickest way, if I'm just gonna skim through what I do in the Purpose Discovery Masterclass. It's funny you asked this question, and I've got a Purpose to Prosper Masterclass in April. For those who are interested, it will be advertised at Bloom Inside Out, which is my coaching page. There's about 3 to 4 P's that I speak of within the purpose discovery journey. The first one is really around your passion. So to quickly arrive at your purpose, or to connect the dots and arriving at your purpose, it is to really take time to see what you're passionate about. And I mean, you will see this and you will know this. You can rewind back to when you were in your first decade, formative years, you're like almost 10. What occupied your time and your mind so much that even the parents would be like, yo, can you just stop? We don't even see you anymore. And maybe all that you are doing is just creating music, and you're singing, and you are Googling other musicians. I mean, this could be, typically Zakes Tweeny or Black Coffee, but, you've been fascinated with music forever, like for as long as everyone knows. People arrive at home for dinner and they're like, oh, now he wants to perform for everybody, because any opportunity, music is the thing. So connecting the dots of your passion. And also, if you can't put a finger or ring fence 2 or 3 things that you're passionate about, maybe think about what you've been complimented about from when you were young, and then into your second decade, maybe a teenager, maybe even at work. What are you often complimented? And when people compliment you about that, you often think, that just comes naturally to me. You almost want to talk down the compliment, because you're thinking, it just comes naturally. Like I didn't put any effort in this thing. I just show up, and this is who I am. So that's passion first, and then the second one is pain, and in a unique way, the pains and the challenges we often get to experience in life On the other side of pain is your purpose in helping others navigate the same pain and break through. And obviously, if you're still going through healing, you might not, if you're still in pain and in the pain, you won't see the purpose behind it. And when you've navigated through and you're on the other side, you slowly begin to see that actually, instead of saying, why me, Lord, and why did I go through this? And you realize because he wanted you specifically. There's no better person to speak to this particular pain but you. And then you realize in everything I do, I have to incorporate this. Hi, Samge. I see you go. And then the third one is praying about it. Pray about your purpose. There's no better person to tell you about your purpose than the Creator, who actually formulated all these qualities and knowing very well why he created you the way that he did. And praise being compliments. Like I said, rewinding in terms of like your praises and where you get complimented the most. And that should give you a sense of where your purpose area is at. And you need not wait until you're 60. You need not wait until 40, or you can do it now, and really begin to ring fence. This is what I want to spend my time, doing. And you begin to say, in the corporate space where I'm at, which parts of the business can I actually get to live my purpose and activate my purpose within the company that I'm in? You don't have to resign from corporate if you don't have a burning desire to be in business just because you're like, I want to live my purpose. No, you can minister and you can speak to impacting other people's lives positively in the workplace by identifying exactly, this is what I'm called for, this is why I'm here. And then you show up differently, and everyone knows you now as this. It becomes your brand, and they know you for this. She stands for transformation. It doesn't matter whether it's a bank, it doesn't matter whether it's a beverage, Coca-Cola company, or whichever other brand you can think of. She stands for transformation and will not be moved in that, and will relook at processes, will relook at appointment of people to make sure that while she's a leader in this place, this does come to life. And so now this brand is known for exactly that. It's not just about the financial transformation, the financial services space, but it's the financial transformation that she speaks to and everything that she does, and the financial transformation in people's personal lives and people's experiences. So you can marry your purpose in the corporate space and then brand yourself around that. And then everyone knows, like when you speak to this particular area, she lights up, and that's exactly what she's known for. And that's the value she brings into the team. Different set of eyes, different conviction around this particular area. And that's how her brand then shows up wherever she goes. So that's how you can incorporate it into your workspace, and you can bring your purpose into any space that you're in.
Wow, I like that, because sometimes, hence I was very specific about the workplace. Because sometimes we think we need to get into business to create a brand, and we don't think that it's something that we can do within the workplace, so that you can show up, be known for something. What do you stand for? And what is that positioning, as we would say in the marketing speak? And that for me becomes the most important thing. And I think the passion conversation for me has always been an easier conversation than the purpose one, because I think it's easier to figure things you're passionate about and kind of start there than having this overwhelming thing of finding the purpose, because that can be like, I'm not finding it, so what does it mean?
And a lot of people will then have this notion or this myth that it has to be grand and must be big. But it's just you sharing your personal journey and how you navigated through the same challenges that someone may be going through at work, and then helping them to navigate and be on the other side. Right there, you've activated your purpose in the corporate space. And now when they speak about you when you're not there, we speak about a brand speaks for you when you're not there. your brand, that they're now sharing with other people. There's this incredible executive who just knows how to, you know, she can read me. She can see when I'm not in a good space, and she just finds a way to inspire me in a way that, you know, helps me to move where I was frozen, or where I thought this is the end, or I can never do better. I find, you know, the next layer of who I am, because this is the kind of executive who's then passionate about unearthing talent and unearthing, you know, giftings and qualities, and finding the right match in the right in the business for you. So so you're right in that when I do the Purpose Masterclass, I often just unpack it like that, to say, you don't have to, when you start and say, what's my life purpose, you're going to get a whole soul block, mental block. You actually put it aside and you're like, oh no, not this, you know. And that's why, I mean, I always say inner work is not easy, but it is our number one obligation to do our inner work, to do our healing journeys, to understand who we are, to understand how we show up in different situations and circumstances, so that we know how best to navigate when we are in those platforms. So we really are in the journey of developing ourselves, but also getting to know ourselves better, and let that authenticity of who we are and that uniqueness of who we are show up in the work that we do, whether we are designing, whether we are coaching, whether we are, you know, training. No one will do the way that you do, but you got to be able to have those sound bites. What is that narrative and that story that defines you uniquely and differentiates you from other singers and other designers?
I really love that. Like, I've been working on with some graduates and new hires for an IT consulting company, and today we're doing our last group coaching exercise. And this guy says to me, Bume, the one thing that I've really taken out of this, and we speak about it, but it had never sunk, is the importance of self-awareness. And how everything hinges on that. Absolutely. For you to be able to navigate the world, navigate the workplace, understand who you are, understand how you can show up, understand your motivation, your behaviors, and all sorts of other things. Absolutely. That for me was like, okay, I've done my job, I can go sleep, it's okay. My job is done, it's okay, you know. And that for me, I think, is the biggest thing. And you keep saying it, that self-awareness component is very critical. So we've defined this personal branding and why it's important in the workplace, right? But what are the myths? Because there are myths around personal branding. Like, no, this is just the fad. This is just, you know, only influencers need to worry about their brands. You know, there's a whole lot of stories. Like, what are these myths that are out there? Bust some of them for us. Like, no, that's just a myth.
Quite a few. I mean, there's quite a few of them. And maybe to just highlight 2 or 3. Like you're saying, a lot of people will think that it's meant for those who are in the social limelight, or the bigger roles and bigger positions, like media houses. And a lot of people just think, this is just a thing Bombonang will do, or operas of this world and Obamas of this world will do. But I don't even think when they undertook what they do, you know, be the Obamas or the operas, I don't think they said, now I'm building my personal brand. Like, now I'm building my personal brand. What they did is they actually showed up with that conviction of making the change in this world, using what they are gifted in, their qualities, their personalities, their resources, their experiences and expertise, and all that. And they showed up and unapologetically, authentically, and consistently about that. And if you think about Oprah, you know, it's the consistency of wanting to educate and teach and share what she's learned, and really give access, you know, of information to the world and women, and just
Nox, we've lost you. Is it just me? Okay.
It looks like
okay. You're back.
It was just you. Okay.
Oh, that's me. Oh, okay. It's fine.
So
Okay, I can hear you.
just to go back to those myths, it's that thing of actually the one big lie is that it is for the presidents, the high and mighty in authority. It's for maybe executives. It's for the socialites or the influencers. Personal branding is for all of us. I mean, it's one. As much as we are borrowing, oh sorry, my angel, I was muted. Thank you, Nongebo. I don't know what I did. It must have been my hand. But just to go back to to go back to say personal branding is one tool, personal development, personal growth tool we can all use to become our best selves. If you think about it, I mean, it's somebody's captured it right up here to say showing up with conviction. That's exactly it. But showing up with excellence and understand where your strengths are at, understand where your giftings are at, and put your best foot forward in everything that you do with exactly that understanding that I'm brilliant at this, I'm great at this, and no one can do it like I can. And then you literally just get known for this. So because of that, it's not for a select few, it's not for celebrities only. We obviously borrow classical marketing, call it strategies to help with personal branding and personal branding understanding. And that's probably the best way to go about it, because everybody knows a brand. You know, people buy cars because this particular brand evolved or said, you know, they understand safety and they're all for safety. And then BMW, the sheer driving pleasure has always been, but the speed and also just owning the road. And then everybody has a line and a positioning and a promise. So what is your personal promise in this world? You know, what, you know, when we say your mandate in this world is your promise, what will you do? No matter what, you will stand for it, and you will give your best to do it and make sure that you have poured everything about you into this world for the betterment of humanity. So we are all here servants, and we are all here to serve each other. And personal branding is about really branding exactly that around you. What are you standing for? What are you here to impact this world about? And what value do you bring based on your unique qualities and your unique power, magic, that X factor? So it's not for the select few. And also people think it's a thing you do once off. It's a journey. It's a process. You know, like Coca-Cola wasn't built overnight, wasn't built by just one post. If that was the case, there wouldn't be advertising and marketing now. They would not be communicating. I mean, if you think how far back that brand exists. Yeah. So why do you think that your personal branding journey then starts and ends today because you put a logo on Instagram, Nox Magwaza, NM, that's my, you know, my logo, I'm done. No, it's a journey. It's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing a journey and an experience of showing up, like we said, with that unshakable conviction for what you stand for and what you're here and you truly believe you're here for. So it's not a once-off, and it's not just a logo. It's not just like, now that you just see this cross, you will know that that's Medi Cross and that's it. I mean, brands who've been there for ages, now they can just give you the swoosh, and you know which brand it is. I don't even have to spell it out here. You know, and that brand stands for you just doing it, just getting up and doing the physical exercise you've been, you know, promising you will do, the fitness and healthy lifestyle, and just the promise you keep making on yourself to move the body. So what does your brand stand for in terms of, you know, that promise? So it's not just a, you know, a logo. It's not just a once-off. And it's not just for the extroverted people. So that's probably my last one. You know, there's people who, like myself, they're just great at speaking. They can talk and talk and talk. And there's people who just few words. They're all about, you know, speak when I need to speak. And people think that the personal branding whole thing is about extroverts. I even say it's more for introverts, because introverts are not going to be there speaking for themselves all the time, but equally so yourself. You're not going to be everywhere your name is mentioned. So your brand needs to speak for you. The question then you should ask yourself in doing your brand audit, and for those who say, I have not intentionally built my brand, you are already a brand. Because when someone says Snetemba or someone says Nongeba, a perception comes to someone's mind because they know you for something.
Yeah.
They know you about something. Oh, NoxBloom marketing, Bloom, with your business name. So you stand for something in someone's mind, in people's minds where your name is being mentioned. The question is, are you curating and crafting the brand intentionally? Or that's just, how you've showed up. And if you've been consistent in showing up, even if you're not putting any effort in building the brand on these social media streets, people already know she's great at what she does when it comes to 1, 2, 3. So we all do need to obviously build our brand, but for some it might just be listen a little bit more. What do people say about you? What we call like a brand audit. What is the perception out there? What are you known for? What would you say? Ask around and do your own personal brand audit. And then you can also just clean up some areas of your brand that maybe are not, coming across very well and they're not doing good for you, because your brand should be able to open doors for you, should be able to increase your value, even though you're worthy and you're priceless. But in people's eyes, everyone will value you according to what you've projected and what your brand has communicated out there. But if you really want to be the curator and you want to be the one that develops that brand and build that brand for a particular goal and a particular purpose that you want to achieve, then start doing it intentionally. And instead of letting people tell you who you are and what you're about, tell them in every opportunity you get. Tell them who you are, what you stand for, what your convictions are, and what kind of impact you want to be for in this world.
Yeah. And for me, that's the biggest point, Nox, of saying you build your brand whether you say you are or you're not. You are already building it.
Yeah.
So how about being intentional about that?
There you go.
So I always tell a story that, in corporate, I've sat in boardrooms where people's names, so when they do talent review, right?
Yeah.
People's names go up and people's faces go up and people in the room will have something to say about you.
That's right.
And the question becomes, what are people saying about you when you're not in the room?
There you go.
And you don't want people to be going, oh, please, that project, don't give to that one. They never deliver. And I'm sat in rooms where things like that get thrown around. Oh, that one is lightweight. They will never get this project done. Like, they're always late. Some of the things are small things, but they can that you can clean up, but they can have such a negative effect when you're not there to defend yourself and say, I'm always late because nobody cares at that point in time. Your name has been thrown. Somebody has said a negative attachment to it. That's it. You're done.
Right.
People move on, and that for me is if there's anything that any person can take from here, that's the one thing. Be intentional. And not just think it would have either way, whether you're doing something or not doing something, you are creating a brand, that's important. And I think another thing around brand audit that I usually share with people is, how many times do you just do a Google search of your name?
What comes up?
What comes up? What is the first thing that pops up when you search your name? And my experience is, a couple of years ago, I did a Google search. The first thing that used to come up was my Facebook profile. Was that important in my life? No. From a professional standpoint, it wasn't. So what did I do? I went and changed. So you won't find Mpume in Facebook. You find Booms, because I intentionally went in and changed it. Now when you Google my name, you'll find either my website or my LinkedIn profile, because that's what I wanted people to see. So Google yourself and see what comes up. Some things you can never go back and delete, but if there were things that were done and you were all drunk or something, go delete if possible. That's my
no, you are fine. And I mean, I know that there's probably in the audience. Thank you so much, Zaya Collective, for your comment, and Sane, thank you so much that you're enjoying the conversation. Yeah, so the reality though is that we are in a digital era. And maybe before the fourth industrial revolution, you could get away with the fact that you have nothing when you Google. Now you can't, because you have to be intentional, and that probably leads us to the how of building your personal brand. A lot of people will be like, when I'm coaching, some ladies, they run a business, and whatnot, and they'll be like, I'm not a social media person, I'm just not an Instagram person. I'm like, there's not a person born a social media person. There's no one born with, and I always said, maybe it's a good thing that we start here now, that we are defining your brand, and then we go and start a profile that stands for authentically who you are. Because the thing is, everybody who's buying, everybody who's employing, everybody who wants to give their hard-earned money in cash will Google the company, will search for you, will see what credibility, what are others saying, what's been said about you. Everybody buys after they've done the search online. So you can't afford not to be there, right? You are like in donkey years back then, like, which is not true. You are in this era right now, and it's not a mistake that you're alive during digital revolution. So, like you said, be intentional what you're posting on LinkedIn, what you're posting on your website, what you share in terms of articles that you're publishing, maybe a blog, but let that speak to the holistic build of your brand and what promise you stand for. What is your promise? I like this interesting conversation. Thanks, Makhubisa.
Thanks, Makhubisa. So, but before we go on now, like we're speaking about having presence in social media, there are people who have just decided they will tell you they're not social media people.
I know.
And they are nowhere to be found. What's better, not to have the presence or to have a presence that is kind of dodgy?
Then
I'm sorry.
It's people's choices, really. And I also say maybe industry related. Academics will tell you. I mean, also even academics, I mean, they will talk about publishing their papers in particular, publications. And that was when we were reading, physical publications. Now publications are online. So they might not be on social media, but their work will be there. Their names, when you search, will be there. So they might not have social media footprint digitally, but they might have credits to an article, to a paper that they've contributed to a blog that they were invited to and was written. So it's okay. And that way, they like, they don't feel the pressure of having to go and curate a narrative on social media, but you will then get what they're all about and what they're passionate about, what they're serving this world with, where they are adding value in the academia. So it's okay. I mean, it just depends where you are at. And everybody somehow has LinkedIn, and they never used to think of it as social media because it used to be a digital CV. But now it is social media, and it is where people will search for you first, especially if it's a professional engagement that you want to get to know the person a little bit more. They'll go and just read about you on LinkedIn. What roles have you had before? And so be intentional about what you put there, and highlight. And so we were about to just speak in the last 3 minutes of our hour to how you build your personal brand. And the first point, you didn't say building just any personal brand. You said personal brand at work or in a corporate or career. I mean, LinkedIn is the number one platform. You need to be there. You need to be on LinkedIn, and you need to be intentional about what you're putting in your profile on LinkedIn. And that's about showcasing your areas of excellence. That's about showcasing projects you're working on. That's just showcasing your experience and your expertise, showcasing your awards and your recognition. So post about those things. But also then, LinkedIn is about thought leadership. It's about sharing things that occupy your mind, that you are fascinated about, They may not be core to your work, but if you're a kind of person who loves to understand leadership, I see Ratima Bohale is here. He calls himself a leadership thought leader. He's a senior digital AE in my agency. And he's consistently fascinated, reads about, writes about it, shares the insights of what he observes, of what he reads, of what he hears, and what he listens to about leadership. So when you are there on his LinkedIn, you get to see, yes, he's a marketeer and he's a digital marketing expert. But he also then he will take time to sift out the insights that are related to leadership in everything that he does, whether it was an activation, whether it was an exhibition, whether it was an advert, whether it was content piece for a client. So LinkedIn really is all about you showcasing your promise, your excellence, and what you're great at. And that's a good starting point for your personal branding. And then you can then be a contributor in the things that you're passionate about, in people's blogs, in, what do you call it? Papers, like I'd said.
Podcast.
But also being invited to podcasts, podcasting where you actually, you follow someone who's passionate about the same area, and you can actually have a contribution, be a contributor. At work, if there are projects that are happening, and there's maybe departments that they are specifically in the space that you're passionate about, and that's where you find your purpose, that's where you feel fulfilled, and that's where you want to spend a greater part of your being doing, then lift a hand and say, I will be part of this project. I don't want to shift maybe from the role that I am in, but I will meet with the team that is doing community development once every 2 weeks, and I will be there on the weekends when we're doing community work, because that's my purpose work. That's where I want to be. I want to impact people's lives. So it's all about that. Curate, take your time to understand who you are, and write about you. I mean, if on social media, it's not only about sharing. Some people. Somebody said it's scary. Let me just go back to this comment. Somebody said, oh, I need to find it. Where is it now?
That's so scary, no? Imposter syndrome paralysis is a real thing for me.
Yeah. So Zaya, you're right. I mean, I always say imposter syndrome shows up when you're not being allowed, or the environment doesn't allow you to be authentically yourself. And you feel like you're being false, and you're not being authentic. So it's also about just questioning the environment that you're in. If you cannot show up as your true self and your authentic self, it's not your environment. And if you feel like you have to park a certain element of your persona or personality and qualities because this business does not allow you to be that person, you shouldn't be there. But like I said, Zaya, the starting point is self-discovery, personal journey of finding out who you are. And this is part of inner work. This is part of personal development and personal growth. Define yourself, understand your values. What do you value the most? And maybe right now you are all over the show and you're doing things that are not of value to you, or things you don't value, because you haven't taken time to define. So your personal brand will be your guideline to say, this is for me, this is not for me. This is, what I value, and so I will spend more time doing this. This is what I want to be known for. So this is what I will spend my time and develop myself around this. So that way you shouldn't feel like you are you are false and you're not being yourself, because you are defining yourself and then you show up as yourself. But we can chat, Zaya. You can DM me and we can chat and take this conversation forward. Thanks, Princess Diaries. Love listening to Nox. I always walk away with great insights. Thank you so much, Princess Diary. But yeah, those are just some of the quick things. There's a lot we can obviously speak about with regards to how you build your brand, and that's usually my third quarter masterclass. But just quickly to sum it up, it's first starting with who you are, and then also checking your qualities, your giftings, your areas of expertise, and then branding yourself around that. It's also about defining your purpose or discovering your purpose and brand yourself around that, so that you can easily say, anybody who spends time with me, this is how they benefit. So, you know, we talk about brand benefits. How do people's lives change? How are people impacted positively? What is the benefit of people spending time with you or working with you or being part of the team in that project? What do you bring into the mix? If you can define those things about you, the brand, different, the value that the brand brings and the solutions you bring into people's lives or company or team, that's how you then build your brand around that. You know, and then look at your credibility. I mean, you've journeyed for a couple of years, a couple of decades perhaps, or maybe a decade in what you do. And now you can reflect and say, this is what I've been promoted for. This is what I've been recognized for. These are the awards I've won. These are the features I've had on radio. And then mention those things on your social media, on your LinkedIn, so that the people who are reading about you can see, oh, she's brilliant at this. You know, she's brilliant at sharing information and teaching. So you can't just be silent, because then people will start forming their own stories about who you are. Rather be the one who tells people who you are and what you stand for and what you're about. So enjoy the journey of your self-discovery, enjoy the journey of defining your life promise, and really then reflect regularly on, am I showing up as my true authentic self? Is my brand consistent, or is my brand, you know, all over the show? Do your brand, your personal brand audit, and see and see what people are saying about you. And then you could even ask other people to ask other people, you know, ask your partner at home, what do you enjoy the most about me? What do you think are my strengths? And, you know, what are my qualities that you enjoy the most about me? And then brand yourself around your strengths, around your qualities, your giftings, your expertise, and your experience, and your pain that has become a message. Remember that your mess can be a message that you can brand yourself around. And now you begin to impact other people's lives positively because of that. And that's how you then create a narrative. And we all understand, oh, this is what she means when she says she's a blooming boss lady. It's not just words. It's words I've crafted for a very long time. This is what she means when she says keep blooming, because we constantly are blooming. You know, blooming is like, for me, an evidence of life. Progress, growth, development, healing, changes, edits, things you need to work on consistently. That you refining your brand as you go. No brand is born perfect. No one is perfect. And we all are masterpieces while we are also work in progress. So continue your journey of branding yourself. Continue defining yourself. Continue telling people your story, your narrative, uniquely as you can. And no one, absolutely no one, is here to do what God has sent you to do in this world. So to the unapologetic housewife, it's at Bloom Inside Out. I'm going to try and type it now. At Bloom Inside Out. So blooming from within, building your brand from first who you are, and then taking it out to the world. And that's how it is. It's best that way. Don't be influenced. Be the influencer. Be the impactor. Bring everything you have within you out to the world to serve the world better and make it a better place. I hope you did catch it. Unapologetic housewife. I love your brand name. So, thank you so much. What an insightful session. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that the network was clear enough for it to record well. This is the second time we're doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about the network anymore. And that's why I've stopped doing InstaLives, because you have so much to share, but this network and this load shedding and everything we're dealing with just makes a mess. I think I should just do podcasts. Now I should just do podcasts. Yeah. But thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for showing up, and I hope everybody have taken something out of this. Be consistent, and a lot of us battle with consistency. Consistency. No. It's like sometimes I just want to disappear. Like, why am I doing this? Like, I can't. It was like a lot of work. So there's that.
Yeah.
Finding the things that you're passionate about and putting your hand up at the workplace also becomes one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
I just remember in my time in corporate, there were projects that I really ended up leading that had nothing to do with my job, right? Because when the CEO says, who wants to do this? You kind of go, oh, it's my thing, you know, and they trust you with the thing. And that element, then you showcase yourself and what it is that you love, and a lot comes out of that. People get to know you, people get to know what you stand for as a human being. And there's a lot of equity that comes with those things, right? So I think there is so much that you've said that I can go on and on about these conversations. I love conversations, and you are my person when it comes to this. So I love that.
I see like he's also saying consistency. You're not alone, and it's like I said, guys, it's a journey. You know, it doesn't mean everybody who's built a brand, they're 100% consistent. But it's just about being intentional, and any opportunity you get, you know how you want to show up, because that aligns with your brand. You know, we didn't get to speak about consistency in showing up professionally, how you put yourself together, how you dress, how you know, all these things add up to how people receive you and how people see you. You know, so excellence in what you're doing, and that also speaks to you showing up, putting your best foot forward, and just showing up in your strengths rather than setting yourself up for failure, showing up in your weaknesses. And so that's when you know you're meant to, well, you know yourself so well, you can say, this is for me, this is not for me. I'm not meant to be excellent in this, it's just not me. And you can say, I can rather focus on this 1, 2, 3 element of this project, so that you can then show up as your, you know, your best self in the work that you do.
And it really, I like that, because it also helps you with being able to know when to say yes and when to say no. And when you know that this doesn't align with who I am, or it doesn't align with the brand that I want to show out there. There's something that I agreed to do a couple of weeks ago. I did it, like, you know, when you just do something and later I was like, why? No. But because I promised, I went on with it, but I'm clear that it's not something that I'll ever do again. Because it really doesn't align with who I am. But being able to have those conversations with yourself, really adds value to that. Nox, I thank you, and I thank you for really just showing up with me and doing that. Thanks, everybody. I hope you've taken something out of this. Today, it better have recorded nicely, like I'll be done.
Failing which, I'm just going to do a podcast and share it with your people. Done. I'm done.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, I do podcasting. We can just do a Change Conversation podcast and put it out there. But anyway, so I will put it on live. I will save it on my feed. At some point, I'll also put it in my YouTube channel. I'll even pull out the audio stream to put on the podcast. So we're going to spread it. We'll put it out there. Do you want to share a bit about the workshops that you do on personal branding?
Oh yeah, sure. So at Bloom Inside Out, I did put the page up there. BLOOM Inside Out is a personal and business, I guess, growth platform where I coach boss ladies predominantly. I've had obviously gentlemen that joined me for executive coaching, but my heart is for women, so it's really woman facing. There I offer obviously group masterclasses every quarter. So I'm about to host a Purpose to Prosper masterclass, so helping you define and identify, I guess, discover your purpose and show up purposefully or purpose-driven in everything that you do. In the third quarter, we do personal branding, so building your brand to unlock your success. That's around August. And then I do offer, I do repeat the sessions when it's needed and necessary. And then I offer one-on-one coaching, which is really centered around yes, the personal branding, as well as your business branding, to unlock your prosperity. And you can obviously DM me or go to bloominsideout.co.za and read a bit about it, and drop me an email, and we can take it from there. Thank you so much for me.
Thank you. So you guys, you can't say I'm not bringing you some great people here, like, to have these conversations. So I really thank you, Nox. Yeah, I really, really appreciate you, and the fact that we did this twice. We made a promise, we delivered, and I hope people do get in touch. But we've impacted a life, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the only thing, even if it's one life, that's all that I'm here for.
A change conversation that affects positive change. There you go.
Exactly. And if we've changed a life, that's all that we're meant to do, and that's what I stand for.
I see my people.
So thank you.
I see Rural Goddess. We need to talk. She's been so busy for me, this one. We need to continue our conversation. I love the line you used. Don't be influenced, be the influencer. Yeah, we're blooming inside out, not outside in. That's the trick.
Exactly.
Have a great evening, everyone, and keep blooming.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Keep well. Bye.